The number 7 jumper today. Geddes, Deep, Stringer, Hart, Stewart and Rigon are the forwards. And the bench is Craigie, Simons, Pulatua and Muir. That one change is Owen Craigie out of the starting 13 and back onto the bench. And Jamie Fitzgerald goes into the run on 13 as the 5'8". For the Dragons, one change for them also. Ben Hornby goes back to fullback. Hookie, Gasnier, Timmins, Cooper and Barrett make up the back line, with Peters now the halfback. The forward pack is Bailey, Riddell, Riles, Smith, Thompson and Kite. And the bench is Kent, Lightfold, Hooper and Millard. The Bunnies come out to a very breezy Wynn Stadium here this afternoon, blowing from the south. And it will be at the backs of the Rabbitohs in this first half. Paul Stringer will know he's in a game this afternoon when he takes on the likes of Luke Bailey and also Jason Riles.
He's had a fantastic season. Paul Stringer made the country of origin squad this season. Unlucky not to have made the New South Wales team. The Rabbitohs are any chance here this afternoon. He must have a big game, really matching it with the likes of Riles and Bailey up front.
And Trent Barrett leads out the St George Illawarra Dragons. 3 times this year. They've had a draw on this very ground. They need the full 2 points this afternoon. Lance Thompson has been busy playing as a ball player in recent weeks. He certainly played that role against the Eagles. They'll need him to go forward with the football this afternoon.
Well, they certainly would. He's a fine player, Lance Thompson. Plenty of experience there. Had suffered from a few injuries throughout this season, but when he's on fire, so are the Dragons. I'll be looking for a big one from him today.
Can add plenty of passion to this side. Important part of the team. Speaking of important people, we will have 1 minute silence here before the game this afternoon with the passing of several league identities for both clubs. Jack Underwood, a long-term rugby league journalist in the Illawarra region, recently passed away, as did Owen Morris, a long-serving Dapto, Illawarra rugby league official, and also the father of the St George international player Steve Morris, and Fred West, the South Sydney Life member, also passed away in the past week. And due to those passings, we will pause here for a minute's silence. Time for football on this very big August Sunday afternoon. The Rabbitohs coming off the back of those 2 50-point losses. Dragons needing to win to survive in 2002. The referee this afternoon is Matt Checken. He will take up his post towards the side of the field for the kickoff. Just his 13th game in the top grade. In fact, it will be the Dragons and not the Rabbitohs who will have the breeze at their backs in this first half. Trent Barrett won the toss, elected to run that way. It will be the Dragons who get first use of it as well. Hornby playing it at the 20-metre line. It comes away to Bailey. Important opening to this game for both sides. Dragons handling at times is their worst enemy. Here's Riddell bouncing off tackles and again staying alive. A ball at the back from Hornby. It came away to Kites. He is such a hard player to tackle, Mark Riddell. Riles now. Spoke about the effort needed from both Riles and Bailey here this afternoon against 2 very well-performed front rowers in both Geddes and Stringer for the Rabbitohs. Here's Peters, taking the game back from a leg injury. Made his return last week against the Eagles in that losing effort at Aussie Stadium. Brad Watts, once again, is the fullback for the Rabbitohs this afternoon, brings it back towards his 20. Brent Gross going from dummy half is picked up by Sean Timmins. Started the season playing on the left-hand side of the field for the Dragons, but has been playing at right centre in recent times, as Deep shows it. Gives it off to Geddes. Go to the left-hand side. Good hands from the captain, Andrew Hart, who has assumed that title in the absence of Adam Newer. Retired, perhaps the shortest amount of time in rugby league history, just early last week. He's back on the bench today, though. Hart retains the captaincy. Oh, here's Hornby being hit. Brett Sheehan is the halfback role this afternoon for the Rabbitohs. They've had plenty of halfbacks. Almost a rotation system that Craig Coleman has employed throughout 2002, looking for the right combination. It's fair to say they haven't quite found it yet.
And of course, Brett Sheehan came to the club at the start of the season with enormous rush put on him. The club thought that he would be the first up halfback. He hasn't quite lived up to those expectations. I'm sure that he'd be looking to finish the season on a positive and hold down that position for next year. And of course, playing up against Willie Peters, who was signing.
Here's Bailey now, midfield and 30 out on the Rabbitohs line. Barrett, first receiver, comes out to give it to Thompson. Taken by Jamie Fitzgerald. Goes out. Dummy half. Giving it off to Justin. John Olzard and also Geddes. A quick play, the ball to Riddell. Who will go? And the same as he did last week against the Eagles. He caught the markers napping and scores the first try of the game for the Dragons.
Great work there by the Dragons on the back of a penalty. And Riddell again from dummy half. Similar situation to last week. Although it was closer to the post. Just the markers, they weren't set. A quick play the ball, up and at them, and too strong.
Well, that was the key to it, wasn't it? It was a quick play the ball. So it was two before then. That one, of course, was very fast. Riddell loves that situation where the defence from the opposition is scrambled. They're able to get up, get away very quickly, stretch over for a great try.
That will be disappointing. Coach Craig Coleman watching his side try so simply. First time the Dragons go inside the Rabbitohs 20, especially when you just know, and they would have worked on it during the week, that Riddell, meters from the line of dummy half, will have a crack at any time, but most assuredly in the opening minutes of the game. He will try his luck every time. The Eagles fell for it last week. Didn't hurt them eventually. Could be the case for the Rabbitohs today. They didn't leave this stuff. Here's Riddell. The attempted conversion. And held it wide. Terrific kick from the touchline from the try scorer himself. And the Dragons lead the Rabbitohs early on here in Wollongong, 6 points to 0.
Well, the pleasing thing for the Dragons players for that would be the fact that the two sets of six leading up to that try, we mentioned the ball security was the biggest downfall in recent weeks. They were able to have great ball security in those two previous sets of six. That's why they come up with a 4-pointer.
Certainly is the key for them, no doubt about that. Bailey brings it back from the restart. It's Price. Canberra Raider. Home to back row. Dragons this year. Riddell comes left. Peters gives it away to Ryle. Standing a couple off the rugby. Through a ball, he didn't make the throw in the end, but it was tapped backwards by the Rabbitohs. And the players game to the top range on Olzard came up with it.
And again, after having points put on the board, the Dragons forcing the football. He's been guilty in the past roles of trying to do it too much, especially in these types of field positions and stages in the game. The Dragons, they would have been better off just going forward, getting to their kick, building their game to start with.
There's Rigon being stopped by Sean Simmons. Made a couple of solid tackles already in the game as they shifted to the left-hand side. A penalty.
Never square. Either of you. Either the square. Both square. Markers. On we go. Penalty's given. There's the mark.
Brent Barrett and Sean Simmons arguing the toss. There certainly were two markers there.
Two markers there, and one I'm sure was saying that he was going back to the defensive line, but the way that the referee saw it, thought that they were trying to cheat around the play. The ball interesting decision here by the run, Bunny. Went to have a shot at goal. Thought won't have too many opportunities in this first 40 in the attacking zone. I think that keep the pressure on and try and take the chances.
Would have thought that would be the case. Try the Dragons out as well, make them do some work in defence. Certainly worked their way to the Eagles last week. Very warm afternoon, it has to be said, at Aussie Stadium. By contrast, it's much cooler here today. Machine, not a difficult angle, pretty good strike as well from the halfback. Against the Rabbitohs on the board. They took the chance for 2 and converted it. They trail by 4 after just 7 minutes here. See what they come up with, bringing the ball off their own line here. Kick-off from Mark Riddell. To be careful in this first half, the Dragons, and likewise the Rabbitohs in the second. They don't get too much on the kick-off. We've seen plenty of players put it out on the full in 2002. There'll be a chance today with the breeze the way it is. Riddell, though, tries it low and hard. Of course, the Dragons had their problems with kick-offs themselves last week, and the Eagles were able to kick it over the dead ball line twice and force a goal line dropout. One of them cost the Dragons the game. Stringer takes it up to the 30-metre line. Always gets those extra metres. The tacklers make contact with him at the advantage line. Here's Sheen showing it, stepping in behind the tackle there of Kite. Still going. The lock forward Kite, who eventually came across to wrap him up with the help of Thompson. Watts gives it to Rigon. Runs it, Barrett in. The old throw on him. Well, that's the WWF. Here's deep. Short balls from Hart. Quick hand stuff. Too slick, in fact, for the men on the outside. Couldn't hang on to it. In the end, Andrew King put it down.
Unfortunately, the Bunnies, they really worked the numbers well. Deep out of dummy half, taking the mark away in Barrett. They dragged Timmins in. The pass to Andrew King, unfortunately, just going to ground. He was able to get the ball away to Gross. Bunnies would have been on their way for a 4-pointer.
Barrett, as they win the scrum, gives it to Timmins. The extra man on this open side. He was trying to sneak in there between the two tacklers, Hinson and Fitzgerald. Again they go, and they get a penalty. There it is. Riddell will go from dummy half close to the line. Gasnier do likewise from any place on the field and try and catch them out. That's exactly what he did. Now Bailey. Dragons scored first time they went inside the 20. Another crack here as we tick into the 10-minute mark of the game. Here's Riles running out, stopped there by Luke Stewart with the help of Stringer and Rigon. They come to the left-hand side. That's too easy for Gasnier. A simple pass, one off the ruck. He ran into a hole. They're having trouble with their defence down this right-hand side, the Rabbitohs. The Dragons open it up 10 points to 2.
Just wasn't read real well there by the Bunnies defenders. Just a lovely cutout ball from Riddell onto Gasnier, and Andrew Hinson just caught in 2 minds. He didn't know whether to go for the intercept or go for the man. In the end, he came up with nothing. In that situation, you've just got to make yourself available and get up and make contact on the player receiving the football.
Well, it's a good decoy run too by Bailey. He dragged in a couple of players there. As you mentioned, it was Hinson he was caught in 2 minds. He was going to come in because Bailey made a good decoy run, got caught out. But as I say, it was a very easy try. And let's hope that the Bunnies can pick up their defence.
Gasnier picks up his 8th try, just his 5th game coming back from a foot injury himself. Riddell from an easier position to the one he picked off his own try not that long ago. Chance here to make it a 10-point ball game, but this one to the right-hand side doesn't come back with a breeze. It remains 10 points to 2.
And really, Andrew Hinson has got to make a decision. Bailey did run the decoy, but it dragged no one in except the defender inside him, and that was his man. Hinson's man was Gasnier, and he let him get on the outside. Now he's got to make a decision whether he lets him go up and out or he's going to come up and in. Because on that occasion, Gasnier had far too much pace. If he's going to line up on the inside shoulder, Gasnier will beat him at every opportunity.
Bailey has it on the kick-off. We'll play it back to Willie Peters to spend a lot of time for the Dragons and dummy half.
black and white decision. There's the mark. There's the mark. He's going for the kick.
Matt Jenkins keen to get the game on. There's Andrew Hart with his ball. His hand in around the ball. He'll break that out, but the ball certainly came loose. Matt Jenkins saw the hand go in there initially. Gaznia from dummy half. Fires it to Peters. Now Bailey. He's 40 out to the Rabbitohs line. Taking chances again. Certainly can play on a try from any part of the field. Here's Peters. Not played it, not played it, not played it. The Rabbitohs arm, but not played it as the referee says. The tackle count will continue on. That's 3. Timmins wrapping quickly to the open side. There's the defence around the ruck. Geddes was up to the task. Here's Peters again. Short ball back on the inside. Lovely pass to Hornby, who almost got there. Riddell from dummy half will go once more and won't make it this time.
Well, he bombed a try there, Mark Riddell. Gazzy was on the right, screaming for the football. They had the numbers, and instead Riddell just going from dummy half, and the Dragon having a lot of success just going straight to the middle of the field and picking an edge to work from. Barrett and Willie Peters are splitting. Looking very dangerous at the moment.
One of the areas I think the Rabbits have to improve is holding down in the tackle. They're just letting the Dragons players play the ball too quickly. They're getting the roll on, and when you do that, their forwards are going to take complete control.
Here's King. Getting a solid tackle, giving it back to Watts. Almost into open space. Stopped by Brent Kite. As Sheen was harassed by Justin Smith, who gets up into half-back space. They'll trap him on the last tackle. Once again, the lack of options for the Rabbitohs. Kicking game makes them pay, and they've given up possession in a very bad position.
Talking about your kicking game, you must have an option kicker. And the Bunnies, that time, they'd all move forward. No one had hung back, giving the option to Sheehan. He was into a little bit of trouble. Great chase from Justin Smith.
Here's the player, designated it seems by the Dragons. The pressure on the kicker. I don't know who they're playing each week. And once again, Rabbitohs put it over in a civil position. We've seen that so many times in 2002. That's what the game they need to work on most. Here's Barrett. Timmins, one-on-one with King, gives it off. Down that right-hand side, who comes back towards the 20-metre line, but he plays it on the last tackle. Barrett, lovely pass to Peters. 3-on-1 they've got now. Oh, and Gaznia puts it down.
Hand over, half tackle.
Well, they had drawn them in once again. The numbers went missing for the Rabbitohs defence on this right-hand side, and it only needed one more catch and pass. The Dragons to go in again.
Yeah, they're having plenty of trouble. I'm sure Craig Coleman will give a lot of thought to maybe moving Hinson over to the left wing and bring Brent Gross over to the right-hand side. He's a wonderful defender, Gross.
A couple of weeks ago, of course,
Never made it. No, you can have a look.
Trent Barrett, again, question of Matt Jenkins has the problem. They were up inside the 10. The referee waited for the tackle to be completed. The Rabbitohs, any advantage they were going to get out of it. At times, Barrett hasn't agreed with the referee. No surprise in that. With a player analysed in 2002 who did agree. They transgressed. Here's Geddes playing it. Stringing it. Ball behind Brad Watts.
They've been using a lot of short side plays. This time they went from one side of the field and Luke Stewart hitting the ball at pace, and the support players were there. Fitzgerald just dumbing around. Hinson, who had his moments early in the game as far as defence is concerned, grabbing the ball and going over.
Well, it was great play there by Fitzgerald. I mean, he was the one that threw the pass at the half break, but he didn't just stay there. He doubled around, backed up in support. Another good pass out of Hinson. Went over for a very good try. exactly what the Rabbitohs needed. They need to get a little bit of confidence, be able to come up with a 4-pointer. They've been able to do that. Let's hope now he can convert it.
Well, they're under all sorts of pressure early, the Dragons. The Rabbitohs, I'm sorry. And the Dragons could have put another 1 or 2 tries on the board, but they have shown some grit already in that first 15 minutes by hanging on. And then they get the opportunity down the right end of the field on the back of a penalty, able to put a 4-pointer over.
Sheehan had a much easier attempt at goal. His goal attempt the other side of the field, close to the sticks. This one on the junction of the 20-metre line, and the 10-metre line in from this western side. Back within 2 points here. Pointing to the left-hand side, that's where it started, and it looked that way. The best alignment on the team. They have scored, given the Dragons something to think about as well. 10 points to 6 it is here in Wollongong, in what is a must-win game for the Dragons if they are to figure in the 2002 final series. Must-win game for the Rabbitohs, unless you're their coach. He has to win one of the final 3 games. Of course, they take on Panthers and the Cowboys for having the bye in the last round of the minor premiership. Need the points in one of these 3 games. Here's the kickoff. It is a deep one into the in goal on the full. That's where Stringer catches it, brings it back out towards the 20-metre line. So here's that try is giving them some confidence here. Been able to pick up some metres courtesy a couple of penalties they've received from the Dragons. Transgressed marker being inside the 10, deep now. Shows it, runs a long way in shot before he runs into Thompson and Riles there. Riles might have been cut open when he ran into Thompson. In fact, it also might have been Brent Kite who was out there, struggling on the ground. A head clash between the 2 of them. As deep goes from dummy half, and a long way as well. He had Brad Watts sniffing through, looking for the path, and he was away. Sheehan kick it from just outside the Dragons 40. A high ball in the air, a difficult one this afternoon. Oh, he couldn't get to it. Play on and 6 more tackles it is. Brady is out there in 6 for the Rabbitohs. An early change made by Craig Coleman. He's got a full set of 6, and here's Henson trying to push his way across. That breeze is certainly going to be a factor for the fullbacks at this end of the field. Here's Sheehan turning it back for Andrew Hart. Runs to Lance Thompson, his old second-row partner. Deep again at dummy half. Comes to Sheehan. Cuts out Stringer to give it to Watts. He shows it. There's the hole, but it closed just as quickly. Terrific tackle by Kite. Sheehan again coming across the face of him. Craigie trying to put the step on. He got in behind Willie Peters. He's tackled there. 4 tackles gone. Deep now. Is it the Stringer who grubbers with one more tackle left after that? The tackle count will continue here. Here's another grubber from deep. They've gone grubber happy, and they've given it to Matt Cooper.
Wonderful play there by the Dragons, defending their line. They realise that the Rabbits have got their tail up. They are here to play today. They will play for 80 minutes. The Dragons, after getting that first 4-pointer, drawn back on their heels a little bit.
The changes for the Rabbitohs. Ewan coming on, the Stringer going off. Here's Bailey, and also Fitzgerald is the player who came from the field to allow Craigie to come on. So an early change in the back line for the Rabbitohs. Riddell kicking from dummy half inside the 40, as Matt Checken said. Not a bad kick over the head. Brad Watts. Bring it back close to the 30-metre line. A good return by the fullback. Slickness about the Rabbitohs attack this afternoon, which has been absent quite obviously in their last 2 matches, notably last week against the Eels. Here's Sheehan coming to Rigon, steps away from Brent Kite, who's had some quick work done, the smallest of cuts to the head region after that clash with Jason Riles. Geddes,
Leg pull. Black and white decision, Trent. Not every tackle, Trent, or every penalty. Leg pull. Help.
Again, the Dragons Chris Lightbolt waiting sideline to take his place in the game. We'll rotate throughout the afternoon with both Riles and Bailey. Here's Sheen to find the line. Rabbitohs once again. Cracked the first time around when Hinson scored. This time. Here's Watts. Playing at first receiver suddenly. Giving it to Geddes. Just outside the 30 of the Dragons. Muir working it down the blind side. They run around with the halfback. He was stopped by Timmins. He's been a rock-solid defensive machine himself on that right-hand side of the field for the Dragons this afternoon. Muir now standing in the tackle to offload on every occasion. Play it quickly. Comes to Sheen. He gives it to Craig. He players in motion as Stewart once again is the running option for them. They'll play it back to Hinton. They take it down within 10 of the Dragons line. Geddes straight has lost the ball here. Stripped down. They'll get another penalty. It's one after the other for the Rabbitohs at the moment. Probably too wide to take the shot at penalty goal. You would think they'll tap it here and go quickly. That's exactly what Fitzgerald does. Gives it to Geddes, who's moved onto his backside. 17 minutes left in this first half, in which the Rabbitohs are doing well. Sheen, beautiful pass to Craigie. Gives it away to King, who's stopped once again by Timmins. No way past him at the moment. Gross. Give it to Muir. Takes them on to turn an attack and get that ball away, but they wrap him up. It is 5 metres away. Here's Craigie again. This time with Sheen outside him. Goes past Stewart. Henson couldn't hang on to it. And it comes to the Dragons. Hookie has it. Tackled by Sheen. Promising movement, which broke down on the pass hit the deck.
Great defence here by the Dragons again, but the Rabbitohs are a different team today. They're using the football a lot more than what they have in the past week. Their execution is getting better. The passes are out in front. There's a crispness about their work. If they keep this up, we are for one hell of a game.
I think it was that try. It's really given them a lot of confidence. You can see they're all talking to each other, and that makes it a lot easier when you're doing that.
Here's Timmins giving it off to Cooper. It opened up on the right-hand side. It still might because Cooper can fly. Tackled by Fitzgerald as they came across in cover. Barrett now to Peters, who had Lightbolt with him. A lovely ball. Smith couldn't hang on to it this time. Twice they've had the numbers on this left-hand side, and twice they've topped it up.
Wait there. Wait there. It's going to be one. Hold it
We've
there.
got a halt to play with Matt Checken going back to check on Fred Sheen here, who has been cut open, has a wound to the right-hand side of his head. They're also in the wars with Jason Deep, who was split open badly and came to the field quickly in that last passage of play. And Fitzgerald was the player who came back on the field for him. Now it's Sheen who's down in back play, and obviously his injury bad enough to stop the play, according to Matt Checken. This was promising down the right-hand side for them. Gross was out there with Thompson and Cooper, along with Timmins. They're all in front of him. Sheen came up to shut it down, but couldn't get to Barrett in time.
It's just, as I said, Warren, just a head wound, but I just can't understand really why it would have had to stop the play. I mean, the play had to be taken from the field. You can understand that. But look, the Rabbits have been going very well in attack defensively, though. That's what's let them down, and especially their right-hand side of their defence. They just don't seem to have any answer there to the likes of Gasnier and Hookie. And they're making plenty of inroads up that side.
Adam Muir has only this game and 2 more left in his rugby league career. Announced almost 2 weeks ago now that he'll be retiring at the end of the season. Changed his mind on that pretty quickly to that being effective the moment he'd said that when he wasn't picked in first grade that week. Soon changed his mind after a discussion with the club management. Will be there this week. Next 2 games against the Cowboys and also the Panthers. Here he is, taking it up towards the halfway line.
3, let go. Play where you are. Another 7. Hold.
Fitzgerald is the dummy half on us at the moment. Sheen gives it to Craigie. Could have lost the ball here, Craig. In fact, he has. Thompson has come up with it. Second turnover behind the 5-8. Again, the Dragons have it in good position. Riddell fires into Peters. A long ball to Gasnier. One-on-one with Henson. Stepped inside him, but coming across to make a crunching tackle was Luke Stewart. But his hands full this afternoon as Henson and Gasnier. Smith steps straight through them. Backing up. It came away to Jason Hooper, who got across the line to score for the Dragons. Smith just waltzed his way through the Rabbitohs defensive line. That was too simple.
And on the back of a turnover by the Bunnies, Craigie having the ball stolen one-on-one in a tackle off Lance Thompson. That's inspirational stuff. The Bunnies were trying to make a case of 2-on-1. But from there, Justin Smith is going to the Bunnies next season. Straight through the attempted tackle, I think, of Adam Muir. And Jason Hooper backing up on the inside.
Well, that was a case of no communication there. It was very ordinary defence with two players looking to take Smith. He got through there, and Hooper has only just come on the football field. He's come up for a try. But really, the Bunnies defence, very ordinary there. The Dragons are making too many breaks up the middle of the ruck.
On that occasion, Frank Pulatua, who was the player who came up too quickly on the outside of Adam Muir. Suddenly there was that gap in between the two of them. Smith couldn't believe his eyes. Riddell close to the left hand upright. Back in front by 10. He does exactly that. Playing with this green this afternoon. There's no sign of chicken pox or measles for the Dragons at the moment because they lead the Rabbitohs 16 points to 6. I wonder if his mum knows he comes to the football dressed like that. What was it about?
Stay behind.
We'll find out before the day's out.
Wait for the kicker. I'll give it.
The false start here. Brett Sheehan and Matt Jenkins give John Olzard a warning that he was going to be in front of the kicker. Here's Ryle. Getting it back from the restart. The Rabbitohs have already used 4 replacement players. The Dragons just the 2. He's try and score a Hooper. Tackle at his own 20. Barrett gives it to Peters. They come left again. Smith played on the try for Hooper. Get there in numbers to stop him. Riddell to dummy half. Work from Hornby to get it on to Barrett. Encircled by both Hart and Rigon. Thompson. And there by Stewart. Also Muir. Their line is straight defensively. The Rabbitohs obviously so much better. And kicked from inside the 40. Willie Peters. Played off the boot. Brent Gross.
Sorry, Warren. The Dragons, they love to play these second-man plays, but sometimes coming off your own line, you just need to get it over the advantage line and get to your kick. And the Dragons aren't playing well enough at the moment, and confidently enough at the moment to try and beat teams with skill. I think you've really got to keep things simple. Just go forward, get to their kick, start building their game, building their confidence. And once that happens, then their natural skill and flair and ability will take over.
Well, the thing about it, though, is that they have been just playing when they haven't played the simple plays, we've just been hitting the ball up the middle of the ruck. They should have come up with 4 pointers, and it makes you wonder why they want to change their tactics. If they just continually do that, they should come up with more points.
Ryan staying alive, giving it to Thompson. Now it's Timmins. Some space to move in. Comes back to Thompson. The ball stripped out here. Play on, says Matt Jenkins. There was only one to tackle.
Here it is. So it was breaking out.
Comes away to Brent Gross. Because there were at least 2 in the tackle. Play on though is the call. A great chance for the Rabbitohs. Sheen now to Craigie. Has options to his right-hand side. Stewart, a lovely ball back to Watts. Craigie gets it in turn. And 9 metres away from the Dragons line. Chance to reply. Fitzgerald comes back to his right-hand side. Henson almost got across the line. Dragged a couple with him. Only centimetres away. Now try from dummy half, and they've got there as well. Olzard crashed across from dummy half, and Jenkins says that's a try. He caught them napping. Simple stuff. try in the top grade, he won't score one his entire career from closer range.
And mistakes by the Dragons in their own 20, just looking to shift the ball. It looked as though it might have been a steal. No, the referee, correct decision. King had raked it out by the time the other Bunnies players had turned up. Great thinking by Olzard, just going from dummy half. It opened up a little bit there on the line. That's a try. The Bunnies again hitting back.
And it was a very good try too, because you had Willie Peters there, is only a small man, and he stayed low as well. Made it very difficult to stop him from that from such a short distance.
It was the old style pushover try from Olzard. He had to move the ball barely 30 centimetres, if you like. So they've hit back again. Just when the Dragons had opened up the scoreline, 10. Sheen just outside the 20 again, hooking it to the left-hand side. Tough kicking afternoon running into this breeze, especially from the right-hand side of the field for the right footer. 16 points to 10. We've got 9 minutes left in this first half. It certainly hasn't been the performance so far from the Dragons as Craig Coleman and Paul Dunn watch on from on high in the Rabbitohs box. Performance hasn't been that of a side that would be a worthy finals contender so far against the team that's been beaten by 50 in their last 2 starts.
And especially when they showed a lot of support from the coach during the week, you would expect them to be fired up, their execution being great, the intensity being there, but the Dragons after that first 5 or 10 minutes have certainly dropped away.
Here's Muir taking it to the line and offloading to Brad Watts, who's been thereabouts, just waiting for those passes from the runners. Fitzgerald again comes to Sheen, gives it to Hart. They came up to crunch him. Timmins has been an absolute rock on that right-hand side. Some big hits. Muir again offering plenty this afternoon, moving the ball forward for his team, knowing he only has those few games left in his career. Fitzgerald taking it from dummy half. Running at Timmins, they'll regret that, the way he's hitting them this afternoon. Sheen, more space and time to kick in. He did well at fullback to get to it on the full.
And he's certainly showing a lot of aggression in defence, but the Dragons, they just don't do it enough, whereas Timmins leads the way. I wonder if Andrew Barrow has maybe thought about moving Timmins in closer into the second row, tight around the middle of the park, and trying to inspire his forwards. I mean, you'd be sending a message out to your forwards and saying, look at the way Sean Timmins is hitting. He's a centre, and we aren't coming up with some contact, which is needed in this tight game.
Here is Smith playing it at the 40-metre line. Riddell comes to Lycol down the short side. Hooking on away from the tackle of Olzard. Still going to Peters. And they've opened them up once again down the left-hand side. I don't know that Peters got the ball. He did. The Rabbitohs were appealing that they'd held him up. And once again, they just snagged the numbers for a raid down this left-hand side on the short side. They'd love to do it. And they've caught the Rabbitohs out ad nauseum down that side so far in this first half.
Well, they certainly need to fix up their defence down this side of the field, don't they, the Rabbits? But it was the inspiration of Sean Timmins in the previous set of 6 that really set it up. And then they worked the numbers down the short side. The support play is starting to improve. Chris Lycol, quick between the ears, sums the situation up very quickly, and hooking onto Peters.
Well, they've done it again, South, haven't they? They came up with a 4-pointer, looked like they got themselves back into the game, and then they let themselves down with their defence. Very ordinary defence there. There was 2 or 3 players went in to make a tackle on Hookie, and all 3 fell off him. I mean, you can't have defence like that and expect to win games.
And now Riddell has 99 points. This kick from close range to come. 100 points last year. And he makes the 3 figures again this year. It's been terrific value for the Dragons when he's on the park. Of course, he spent plenty of time on the sidelines this year after 2 lengthy suspensions. And they've opened it up to their biggest lead of the game. 5 minutes left before the break. It's the Dragons 22. They'll lead the Rabbitohs 10. Given they are running into this breeze in the first half, Rabbitohs, if they can hold it just to 12 points, I think they've done a pretty reasonable job in this first 40 minutes. Kicking game, though, hasn't been their strength, as we said earlier on. Need to improve on it. They need to use the breeze well in the second half and try and play the game, certainly in the Dragons half of the field. Light ball now. Playing it just inside the 40. Adele played the entire half so far. Here's Bailey, who's back out there now. Riles gets a breather. Finish the first half on the bench. Peters kick this one, angling towards the sideline. Gives Watts plenty of work to do, and he tracks it down just in the field of play.
Better set a 6 out from the Dragons. Just going forward, getting to their kick. Rabbitohs working off their line. The Dragons could get another 4-pointer on the board before half-time and certainly shatter the confidence of the Bunnies. You mentioned 12 points behind in this strong win. I think the Rabbitohs will be reasonably happy with that going into half-time.
They can just work out a defensive pattern on their right-hand side in the second half. I figure they'd be a chance in the game as they kick from Craigie into this breeze. Not a deep one, almost a midfield bomb in the end. And Cooper took it pretty much at the halfway line before he was wrapped up by Andrew King. Hornby. He's played at hooker at times this year, halfback, fullback. Still pretty much any position in the back line for him. Here he is showing some good hands to pick up the ball from Lightbowl. 40 away from the Dragons line. Barrett through the hands there of Smith and now to Thompson. He carries them inside the 30 again. Similar position from where they scored last time. There's Peters going to the open side. Barrett goes past Lightbowl. Comes to Hornby. Away to Timmins, who will wind up and try his luck. They stop him at the 20. One more tackle. Riddell, give it to Barrett. Through the hands this time, no kick. Pass from Peters, which bounces up. Gasnier, but it was forward.
10 metres in.
Chance again down the left-hand side for the Dragons. Pass from Peters.
Back it up. Chris.
Blown by the breeze and thrown forward.
Two markers, second marker, get close.
Well, it was unfortunate the pass went forward, but I felt he probably should have passed the ball to Hookie. Gets the ball to Hookie, I think it just as good a chance to come up with a 4-pointer.
Okay, one, play it properly.
Ewer has it for the Rabbitohs. 2.5 left before the break. Fitzgerald. Gives to Luke Stewart. Stringer. Having a breather, is back out there now. A lovely ball to Watts as well. Good thing he was wrapped up by Hookie because Hornby was going to have a one-on-one situation. The player who really can motor. Craigie, Machine, flat pass from the way to Hart. He offloads in turn to Sheehan. He's just outside the 20 of the Dragons. A big chance in these last two tackles for the Rabbitohs to put some pressure on here and maybe narrow that gap once again. It has been the pattern of the first half. Last tackle for them. Craigie gives it to Muir. He will rubber in behind them, put some pressure there on Gasnier, who did very well on the wing there in defence. Some sure hands to come up with the football.
He looked dangerous this afternoon, Brad Watts. He's really supporting the 4 players. And if he supports the likes of Stringer and Muir, they have got the ability to offload in the tackle.
Riddell to Thompson. Dragons just work it away from their own end. For a kick to finish the first half. On the attack, here they come again, no Barrett. A ball away which didn't find Peters. Sheen picks it up for the Rabbitohs. So a mistake will give the Rabbitohs the last crack at them in this first half.
Couldn't prove costly. Dragons again just looking to force the football. With a minute to go, you've got to be aware of what the situation is and what the risk of the turnover will cause.
Here's Craigie, that first receiver, taking it to them, almost backpedaling when he saw Bailey coming up to put the tackle on. 2 tackles left. Stringer shows it one way. There's Watts again waiting for another pass. Does get it away. It comes to Rigon. Into Barrett out there with the help of Cooper. And no success down that left-hand side of attack. Here's Muir, just rubbering in behind them again. But nothing kicked really, didn't put too much pressure on Hornby.
The kicking game of the Bunnies, the last two sets that they've had, Adam Hewitt's been their chief kicker. I'm sure Craig Coleman will address that at half-time and say, get the football to Owen Craigie or Brett Sheehan.
Here's Cooper as the phantom siren and the real siren both go off a few seconds early. But that will do us at the break. As they go to the sheds at half-time, it is the Dragons who lead the Rabbitohs 22 points to 10. 4 tries in that first half for the home side. The Rabbitohs came up with a couple themselves through both Hinson and Olzar down the right-hand side of their attacking line. They will think they're a chance at the break. The breeze at their backs in that second half. We'll take a break. In a moment, we'll come back to look for those first half highlights.
Updating Fox Sports News, the Wallabies have suffered a double blow in Johannesburg last night, losing to South Africa in injury time and surrendering the Tri-Nations Trophy to New Zealand. The Australians fought their way back from 26-9 down to hit the lead with only a few minutes to go, but a try and a conversion to Werner Grief in injury time gave the Springboks victory 33-31. And Ferrari is on target for a record 12th Formula One Constructors' Championship. Rubens Barrichello claiming pole for tonight's Hungarian Grand Prix, with teammate Michael Schumacher to start alongside him on the front row. All the details of all today's sport on Fox Sports News at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Go Harvey Norman and join us in our 20-year celebrations. Save a massive $1,000 on an LG 107cm plasma screen. Our price for the feature-packed LG 107cm plasma screen is an incredible $8,999. What a deal. That's right, the 107cm LG plasma screen, and it's a low, low $8,999. Buy now from a Harvey Norman franchisee, and if you find a lower, genuine advertised price, you'll be refunded 110% of the difference. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Come to Harvey Norman, your true blue Aussie discounter.
The new Nissan Navara Turbo Diesel is not only the most powerful in its class, but with a massive 110 kilowatts of power, it's far and away the most powerful in its class, which is a good thing, because when it comes to hard work, there's always more to be done.
Being a sign writer, I get to see how a lot of businesses work. And so many of them aren't taking advantage of today's technology. Look at this. I'm hooked up to the internet with Telstra broadband. It's much faster than regular dial-up services. So now I can email large files to clients instantly. It's cheaper than couriers. Now my business is growing faster as well.
Every golfer wants to improve their game and lower their handicap. And the best way to do that is to practice putting. But you can't always be at the golf course. With a Jack Newton putting partner, you can practice putting in your office or at home. For over 10 years, keen golfers have been using the Jack Newton putting partner to sharpen up on their game. For any golfer, a Jack Newton putting partner is a great gift. The Jack Newton putting partner is available from these stores.
When he won the US Open last year, you saw it here. When he won Wimbledon this year, you saw it here. And we're bringing you Leighton Hewitt's first Grand Slam title defense. The US Open starts August 27th.
It's half-time here at Wynn Stadium, and at the break it is the Dragons who lead the Rabbitohs in this must-win game for the locals. 22 points to 10 is the scoreline, and it was their hooker and dummy half player Mark Riddell who got the ball rolling for them in the opening minutes.
Yeah, terrific start by the Dragons, as was the case last weekend against the Northern Eagles, but then they fell into a bit of a comfort zone. They started turning the ball around and letting the Bunnies back into the game. But he's been terrific from dummy half. He's a strong runner of the football, and he's also got the ability to kick goals from all over the paddock. Tremendous bonus for the Dragons.
They have been having a field day down the left-hand side as they look at the Dragons with this Rabbitohs defence opening up on their right-hand side, and it was Gasnier who was the recipient of a pretty soft try, as it turns out, down the left-hand side once again.
Well, if you give Gaznia too much space, then he will beat you on the outside at every opportunity. Now, Hinson's got to make up his mind which shoulder he lines up on. If he lines up on the inside, he's got to be confident enough to be able to have the pace to match Gaznia. Otherwise, he's got to line up on the opposite shoulder and maybe jab him in towards where the ruck comes from.
There was a danger, of course, at that stage the Dragons might go on and really rack up a score here against the Rabbitohs, but they were next to score, and it was Andrew Hinson who got the 4-pointer for them, and it was some good lead-up work by both Luke Stewart and Jamie Fitzgerald. Yeah, it was great work by those two players, and the Bunnies have played a different style here this afternoon. They've controlled the ball better than what they have in the past 3 or 4 weeks, and it's been the ability to use the football from one side of the field to the other, also create some offload. When they create a bit of offload, they put a little doubt in the St George Illawarra minds as far as their defence is concerned. With the sliding defence that they play, they're hitting the straight runner, and then they've got the short support runners. That's causing all sorts of problems at the moment for the Dragons. Well, the Dragons would hit straight back and open up that scoreline once again. It was Lance Thompson who would come up with a steal to get the ball for the Dragons. Then it was Justin Smith who came up with a break down the middle of the park, and it was finished off nicely by Jason Hooper. There's the ball with Owen Craigie perhaps unlucky not to come up with a penalty for that one as Thompson rolled away from it. Looked as if he did rake it out, and then Smith just strolled straight through some poor defence when Bulatua came up too quickly, and Hooper had his composure in check to get to the line before the Rabbitohs defence.
Yeah, most of the tries this afternoon have come off mistakes by the opposition. There's been a couple of penalties, and that time was a one-on-one steal from Lance Thompson. But the Dragons, they have played some good football in patches, just they got a bit sloppy towards the end of that first half.
Well, the Rabbitohs came up with a steal of their own with the rake, and then they were able to go on the attack, and it was John Olzard who eventually got the try from close to the line, but you see the rake out there by Andrew King. That certainly was a one-on-one strip. That was okay, and then Olzard from just centimetres away from the line just simply fell across the line to score.
Yeah, hasn't had too many opportunities, Olzard, but the opportunities he's had, he's made the most of. Defensively, though, they have to get a lot better on that right-hand side because the Dragons have really directed a lot of traffic at Hinson and himself.
And the final try of the half came to Willie Peters, who once again opened up the score line. The biggest of the first half for the Dragons, 12 points it is at the break. And then, as we said, time and time again, came down this left-hand side. They were unable to wrap up Hookie, who found Peters backing up down the middle of the park.
And before that play that Mike Bowl put on, there was some inspirational defence by Sean Timmins. He really did come up, he put some hits on the Bunnies plays, he really inspired his teammates. And while he mightn't be the fastest front row running around, he's pretty quick between the ears for his Mike Bowl, just summing the situation up, really working the 3-on-2 down the short side, Hookie making the break, and he had Willie Peters, who's going to the Bunnies next season, backing up in support.
Let's take a look at this score summary at the break. Riddell, Gaznia, Hooper and Peters have all scored tries for the Dragons. Riddell has kicked 3 goals from 4 attempts, while the Rabbitohs, who've had all the trouble in the world finding the try line in recent weeks, have scored 2 tries through Hinson and Olzard, and Sheen has the 1 penalty goal to add to their scoreline as well. Of course, once again today on Sunday, as ever, you get your chance to come up with the man of the match in our Fox fan poll. Don't forget that number is 0427 404 404. You simply SMS the last name of your man of the match to that number, 0427 404 404, and we'll open up those lines at the 20-minute mark of the second half in our Fox fan poll, where you get the vote for your man of the match. Okay, we'll take a break and come back with all the live action of the second half in just a moment.
Welcome to the best of Fox Sports Central. We picked up the best of this week's show for your viewing pleasure. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Susie O'Neill. Nathan Blackwell, ladies and gentlemen.
But how good am I going?
You're doing pretty good. I'm going pretty good.
Oh, it's nothing like working with the girls here on Fox Sports Central.
If you can't be there on Sundays, tune in to the best of Fox Sports Central. Monday nights at 6 on 1.
Go Harvey Norman and join us in our 20-year celebrations. There's never been a better time to buy ink cartridges than right now. Choose any Hewlett Packard, Lexmark or Canon genuine cartridge and get 10% off the purchase price or a bonus pack of photo paper valued at $14.95. Buy now from a Harvey Norman franchisee. If you find a lower genuine advertised price, you'll be refunded 110% of the difference. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Come to Harvey Norman, your true blue Aussie discounter.
The new 4.8-litre Nissan Patrol is the most powerful patrol ever. In fact, with 185 kilowatts of power, it's more powerful than Land Cruiser, Pajero, and even the V8 Land Rover Discovery. But what's more remarkable, with 185 kilowatts, it's 28% more powerful than the old Patrol. So it's not surprising that 4x4 Australia has named the new Nissan Patrol ST 4x4 of the year.
Being a sign writer, I get to see how a lot of businesses work. And so many of them aren't taking advantage of today's technology. Look at this. I've hooked up to the internet with Telstra broadband. It's much faster than regular dial-up services. So now I can email large files to clients instantly. It's cheaper than couriers. Now my business is growing faster as well.
Starting August 29th on 1, Australia.
Brilliant work again from Ricky Ponting.
Pakistan. And Kenya. The three nations clash in a 7-match tournament over 10 exhilarating days. Unbeatable prime-time cricket from the heart of Africa.
Outstanding stuff. We have been treated. Some wonderful batting.
Live from Kenya, the Triangular Series starts August 29.
Got him.
Still half-time here at Wollongong. There's the Dragons leading the Rabbitohs 22 points to 10 at the break, 4 tries to 2 in that first half. The Rabbitohs think they're a chance here this afternoon for the first time in some weeks to come away with the points. They'll have the strong breeze at their backs in the second half. We'll see how their kicking game holds up in that second 40 minutes. The Dragons, it's a simple equation for them. They have 3 games left, including this one. And the bye also, they need to get the points from each of those 3 games if they are to be any chance of making the finals in 2002. As they prepare to come back out for the second half, let's take a look at those stats at half-time.
Well, the stats will be fairly close, as indicated by the scorelines in the game. 12 points the difference, the possession 50% each. It's, the Rabbitohs, of course, spent the majority of their time in their own half, and the Dragons were able to, while in there, were able to come up with some good tries. But really it's been the defence of the Rabbitohs that have really let them down. They're defensively around the rucks have been very poor. The line breaks, of course, four breaks to the Dragons, and they've gone on to score some tries from that. Missed tackles 14, as I was saying, their defence has been very poor, the Dragons. You just seem to get the feeling that the Rabbits, you just get the feeling that the Dragons are going to be able to run away with this game, providing they can control the football. That's been their downfall in recent weeks. Started well today, but of course later on in that first half, they did let South back into the game by some drop football. And if they can keep that ball security going in the second half, I think you'll see them run away with this game. And so they should if they think they're a top 8 prospect.
Jason Dean will take his place on the field in the second half, wearing some headgear after suffering a nasty cut to the right scalp or ear region through that first half. And as the Dragons come back out to sun-drenched, rather cool Wynn Stadium here this afternoon. Chris Lightcole and Ben Hornby were both very solid for them in that first half. And Lance Thompson, a bit of work as well, 17 tackles, 10 hit-ups. The best offensive player, no doubt, in that first half. He was an absolute standout. Sean Timmins, that right-hand side. Rabbitohs do not look like making a dent in the defence down that side of the field. We'll see what happens in this second half. A week in which they had a meeting with the management to say that they would like to retain Andrew Farah as coach in 2003. Whether he's there or not will depend on the result of this game. In the ensuing weeks, they do take on Newcastle Knights and also the Sydney Roosters in their last 2 games of the season. They need to win those, as well as this one this afternoon, to perhaps get them into the finals, and also perhaps save the immediate coaching career of Andrew Farah. Justin Smith gets us underway. The Rabbitohs, as we said, very strong breeze at their backs in their second half. The Stringer takes it up towards the 20-metre line. Deep comes to Adam Muir. Plenty of minutes in that first half. Here he is with an offload straight away. Back to deep. They'll play it to Watts. To the hands of Sheehan. Play to Andrew Hart. Going quickly from dummy half. Comes to Muir. Plenty of touch for the time he's been on the field. Here he's deep, being crunched by Timmins again. Sheehan, his first of the afternoon. Quickly to put the pressure on him was Mike Bowl. Wasn't a deep kick, and Hornby, in fact, will bring it back to the 40-metre line of the Dragons. Used the breeze to its best effect on that occasion, and now Cooper to work in the dummy half position for the Dragons. Dillard is out there, 16 for the Dragons. Start this second half. Dell getting a break for the moment. Here's Peters. There's to Bailey, who runs into Muir on his backside as well. Former captain, who was tackled by the current captain, Andrew Hart, with the help of Stewart. Dillard again to Smith. Got a lovely ball back to Millard. He comes to Watts, who makes a tackle to stop him from scoring a simple try to start this second half. Gasnier from dummy half, thought about going himself, fires it back to Peters. He puts the grubber in and deep, playing the ball but grounded in the end goal. Rabbitohs have hung on here. They'll have to drop it out for 6 more tackles for the Dragons.
Well, they did hang on, but you wonder for how much longer. I mean, the defence out wide was very poor. They were able to make half a break there, the Dragons. We see it coming up here, then Smith got his arms free, and from there on in, it looked like the Dragons were going to come up with a try. Good tackle by Watts, though. Then we got the kick by Willie Peters. Large effort there by Jason Deep. Saved the day for the Rabbits.
Goal line dropout comes to Cooper. Comes back midfield before he's wrapped up by Deep. Really good tackle down low. Miller at dummy half. Takes him on himself.
All right, quickly, let go.
In front of the post, about 15 away from the Rabbitohs line. 2.5 gone. The second half, no change as yet to the half-time scoreline. Might be about to change. Thompson get a penalty.
Quicker. Too long. You're on the ground and you're grabbing weight, Lance. There's the mark.
They lead by 2 converted tries. Close range, no thought. Going for the penalty goal. Why not? Because Bailey will just tap it and embarrass the Rabbitohs defence. Well, that was like under 7 stuff. You just tap it and give it to the biggest kid in the side, and he crashes across the smaller kids in the other team.
Lance Thompson getting held down in to play the ball. And from there, they complain. Adam Muir comes out of the defensive line to talk to the referee. The referee says play on. Andrew Hart's the skipper out in the football field. Should have made a better attempt to tackle of Bailey right near the line. You've got to put your body on the line in that situation.
Well, can you tell me why Adam Muir was coming up to argue the toss with the referee when the Dragons were about to tap the ball nearly 8 metres from the Rabbitohs line?
He may have forgotten that he's not the captain anymore, but I mean, he should not have even left the line. But even those players there that tried to make the tackle, they didn't come off the line.
Gasnier it is, with Riddell off the field, who adds the extra 2. Now they lead by an imposing scoreline if you're a Rabbitohs fan, 28 points to 10.
One of the things that let the Rabbitohs down this season has been their kicking game. We see Brent Kite on the bench with a nasty injury over his left eye. But their kicking game's been very poor. They've got a strong breeze at their back. The first opportunity they get to kick the football in the second half, it goes straight to Hornby on the full 30 metres out from the Dragons line. They get it in good field position. Then on the back of a penalty, they're able to put points on the board. It's one area that they must improve. They've got to find space. And their setup, they must have an option there in case Sheen gets caught.
Here's Smith working it down that left-hand side for the Dragons. Getting it away as well. And players there just waiting for the chance. Peters juggles it, gives it off to Thompson. Spins away from the first line of tacklers, still going. Takes it across the halfway line. Perhaps they can sense it's a big score here in the offing. And all the points they can get, of course, considering that it might come down to for and against to get them into the finals. Here's Watts. getting away from Cooper. Ankle tapped by Timmins. If anybody was going to come up with an ankle tap, an important one this afternoon, it's going to be Timmins, the way he's defending. Golzard spanned onto his back and was hurt here.
Come here.
With a suggestion
I got it.
of a high tackle.
Up you go.
He was really hurt with the tackle. Let's listen to Matt Chekin.
Take it. Take it, thanks. I thought it was.
Now, Trent Barrett is going to be spoken to about a head slam here.
Trent? Yep. No, I'm going to put on report. In my opinion, you've come in, it's a head slam, okay? It's going on report. They're going to have a look at it.
Trent Barrett has been placed on report for a head slam on John Olzard, the Rabbitohs winger. Trent Barrett has had a similar charge to face in the past. Here's deep, giving it on to Muir. That will be a great cause of concern to the Dragons. Here's deep. It's the Stringer. It affects his performance here today. He's found guilty of a head slamming incident. Not be around for the next couple of games, you would think. Here's Sheen coming to Craigie. Rigon, the line back on the inside, is picked up. Terrific tackle by Millard. Watts, dummy half, comes to Craigie, sticks across the play the ball area. Trying to come up with something. Comes to Sheen eventually through deep. A ball to Hart, who was under all sorts of pressure. And he's knocked it on, says Chekin. Forward.
You've got to be fair, mate. We're getting fucking penalised out of the game.
If he wants to imply I'm not fair, he's implying I'm cheating. That's really dangerous. I'm going to make some calls sometimes. Sometimes they're going to go your way, sometimes they're not. I've made a call there. Scrum.
I think he's handled it very well there, Matt Chekin. I think he might have taken sterner action.
Wait!
I'll tell you what, the way the run of penalties went to start the game, they were very heavily in favour of the Rabbitohs. Brett Sheehan, who possessed of a short memory, certainly had the better end of it that opening 20 minutes or so, and now Matt Chekin calls a hold for this because we have a
trainer signal that's
player down,
not a doctor.
Back play. It is in fact the halfback, Brett Sheehan, who has been left there motionless just outside the Dragons 20.
He did go in low to make the tackle from the scrum win. Lance Thompson picking it up from the back of the scrum, just copping an accidental knee straight to the face.
No, yeah, that's nothing.
Well, that's a perfect example on how not to tackle. Putting your head in front of the knees. He should have put his head onto the right-hand side of the legs, but it's just a knee to the head. A little bit of concussion there, obviously.
I think if you go in that low all the time, then you are susceptible to getting knocked out. You really must aim a little bit higher than what Sheen was doing at that time.
Sheen perhaps has come to the field. Jamie Fitzgerald is the player off the bench to come back into the fray for the Rabbitohs. Lance Thompson certainly can afford to smile at the moment. Has a chat with Trent Barrett about things. May not be smiling after the game. Certainly the video review committee takes a look at that report by Matt Chekin of the head slam incident involved Trent Barrett. Sheehan will be held from the field. He is in a bad way. A nasty knock to the side of the head. He is very groggy indeed. So his afternoon is certainly done for. Nasty swelling on the cheekbone, the eye area to the right eye already on the head there of Brett Sheehan. It's a bad one indeed.
Release, Marcus Square,
Millard will play it for the Dragons. 10 metres on their own side of halfway. Peters here, giving it to Smith. On Blakey again with his hands full in defence. He struggles to be effective in that role. The man on the ground, especially in a one-on-one situation. An incident there where Thompson hit the ground fairly heavily. Grubber comes through to Brad Watts. Takes it across the 20-metre line. Dragons will try and stop them at this end of the field. But their kicking options, which haven't been too tough this afternoon again for the Rabbitohs, deep. All the way to Rigon, who runs at Hooper. Newer, back on the inside for Hart. Some of those plays around the ruck area doesn't force the defence to make a decision around the ruck, and now Muir again, this time takes them on, runs at Barrett, got the ball out the back. Luckily it came back for Brent Gross. He'll give it to Stringer, straight to the attack, and now a bit of tunnel ball from the Rabbitohs. It was a poor turnover, their own side of halfway. Now the Dragons come on the attack again. Hooper giving it to Peters. Start playing the Dragons a touch football. We get their bums smacked roundly again here this afternoon, because the Dragons, they are the masters at touch football. Miller swung to ground. Hornby to Peters. Bypasses Hooper. Wrapped up here by Hinson. Stewart comes up to help out in the tackle. One more for them. Sookie gives it to Peters. Crossfield bomb. Wobbly old kick. Gross let it bounce and went over his head, and he'll lose it in the end goal as well. Goal came off the hand there of Matt Cooper. They will say, nonetheless, it was lost by Gross, and it will be a goal line dropout.
Well, Gross getting the football. Good call. Great call, Bobby. And Cooper just knocking the football out of the arms of Brad Watts, I'm sorry.
You can hear him checking in the background, congratulating the touch judge on his call there. Having seen the replay, Checker thought it was the right call. No doubt it came off the hands there of Cooper, but ruled to not have been played at. Hence, was a goal line dropout for the Rabbitohs. Line goal to Bailey, comes away to Barrett. Stopped on this occasion by Rigon, the help of Hart. Threatening again the game completely out of the reach of the Rabbitohs. It isn't already. Miller. Just to the side of the post he is. He'll play it back to Hornby, who shows it. Ducks under one. Reaches out to score another. Simple try from close range. Their defence is falling apart here, the Rabbitohs. The Dragons will get the points this afternoon.
Well, they're heading towards the same territory as the last couple of weeks. The Rabbitohs starting to get very, very sloppy around the middle of the park. That time was just too easy. Deep over chasing, then realising Hornby was going himself. A great bit of work by Hornby to outstretch and get the ball over the line.
Well, it was great work by Hornby, but geez, that was woeful defence by the Rabbits, and very poor indeed around the dummy half area, around the marker area. We saw Adam Muir didn't even get up in time. He was still laying on the ground. Both the markers didn't know what was going on. Hornby wasn't sure what he was going to do himself, and he was still able to get through there. I mean, that defensively, that was a disgrace by the Rabbits.
The only choice he had to make was to score under the post or beside the post. Beside the post would give Mark Gasnier enough of the test, and he converts from close range to make it 34 points to 10 after 52 minutes here in Wollongong. The Dragons doing it in a hand canter now over the Rabbitohs. They had to get the points today to keep their season alive. They will do that this afternoon. They will regroup the bye next week, take on two of the big guns in Newcastle and the Roosters. Bailey. Back out there for the Dragons. On the bench a short while ago. Nasty knock inside of the left eye. Bit of bark swelling up while he was sitting there as well. Change to the Rabbitohs as Geddes comes back on for Muir. Nothing more than that as Hooper runs down the middle of the park. He gives it to Justin Smith. A magic ball out the back. It comes to Trent Barrett. And they are running away with it now.
Great bit of work by the Dragons. Their confidence level has all of a sudden gone from a 3 to a 7. And they are starting to hit a bit of form. Millard has certainly added a little bit of spark since being on the field, as has Hornby getting involved. Lovely cross play and interchange of passing. Justin Smith, what about this ball? Bang, out in the left hand, flicking it back to Trent Barrett, going over in the corner.
Well, don't worry about the defence. That's not worth talking about. This is just great attacking play by the Dragons. And Justin Smith, what a great ball this was. Should have been put on the ground, released it out the back from the left hand. Trent Barrett backing up. Wonderful try.
He can afford to throw the ball high in the air in celebration at the moment. Out there, having a chat to the former Dragon and teammate Nathan Brown. Still Gaznia will have the kicking duties from wide out. Bell still off the paddock. Not a bad strike. Breeze will sure it hangs out there to the right-hand side. Craig Coleman, two sides get up 50 points consecutive weeks to both the Tigers and the Parramatta Eels. Thinking bad things at the moment as the Dragons head toward that mark. They've got just under 26 minutes left. Be a brave man who would say they won't get there. Might get the 50 and then some. Here's Bailey. Bringing it out as he did the previous kickoff. It wasn't all that long ago. Lightbolt running at Geddes.
Okay, here's the foot.
Barrett. Full weight of tight. Sixers with a real chance here. Makes some good ground down the middle of the park. Millard. Bit of Peters trying his own luck. Runs it deep this time. Stop him at the halfway line. Here's Smith again. Big part to play in that Barrett try. Look out the back. Found him right on the chest as well. Here's Peters. Field kick, which was almost put down by Brent Gross. He just hung on to it. The team that was showing such confidence themselves with their passing game up to the Dragons line in the first half, suddenly shattered in defence. Lucky to hang on to kicks and passes themselves at times.
And their heads have certainly dropped after that early try in that second half. And that's been their problem, especially in the last 3 weeks. They've been competitive early in their games, and then all of a sudden the team tends to drop their head, and the scoreline does happen from that. Just got to show a little bit more grit here. Try and get the scoreline as close as possible, or at least try and make sure that the Dragons don't put on any more points.
Example there of how things don't happen for them on the field with Fitzgerald. Just putting a little kick in behind the line. Nobody to his outside knew the kick was coming in, and Holzard got there and tried to put a hurried kick in, boot the ball, but it wasn't played at by Hornby, so the Dragons will get it. Just little things that you don't see that perform sides coming up. If somebody puts a grubber in behind the line like that, certainly knew about it beforehand, the players outside him. Isn't the case in those small things for the Rabbitohs at the moment. Comes to Peters. Barrett bypassing tight to give it to Timmins. He's been searching for a hole all afternoon, hasn't quite found one as yet. Peters again. Pass over the top. Intercepted by Andrew Hincham, who will race away to score a double. Put it down behind the post. Ambitious pass thrown by Willie Peters. Hincham read it very well to pluck it out of the air and run 50 metres.
And again, the Dragons really didn't need to do that. They were making a lot of metres up in the middle and little interchanges of passing and cross plays. But they spread the ball to the right, and then they're looking to go back to the left, and a big pass by Willie Peters was always going to open himself up to the intercept. You see over the face of Hooper, up in the air, and Hinson just getting up in the defensive line, scooping on the ball.
Well, we saw Willie Peters throw a pass in the first half, which went to Mark Gasnier, bounced to Mark Gasnier, which ruled forward. It was an extra long pass. He's done the same thing again, and it was always there to be intercepted. To Hinson's credit, he read the play very well. Hopefully that'll give the Rabbits a little bit more confidence.
And Olzar, his second game, the goal kicker. Very good form the last month or so. First division for the Rabbitohs, and his chance to make his debut in the top grade last week against Parramatta. They had a goal kicker to them on the wing. It's 38 points to 16 here. Just over 21 minutes remaining in the second half. In just a moment, we'll remind you about the Fox fan poll, of course. You can SMS your man of the match to that number. 0427 404 404. We'll remind you about that when the lines open up in just a few moments' time. Here's Stringer, who puts it down from the kickoff. He didn't look that sure about it as the ball stopped on the breeze in front of him. He had to make some ground to get to it. That, if nothing else, sums up the Rabbitohs afternoon yet again, doesn't it?
Certainly does. I mean, the front row really shouldn't have to take the ball on the full. There should be positions. There should be players positioned there to take the ball and have the front rows running off, and they're not renowned for taking balls on the full.
No, here's Gasnier. He's got it around the back of Hinson. Just 4 metres away. Mookie. Smith, he had a touch this afternoon. Smith now. Good offload again. Certainly can offer that. He'll be offering it to the Rabbitohs next year. The former Rabbitoh himself gets across the line in Lee Hawkey. He said he doesn't get too many touches today. He crosses the line with a 4-pointer here.
Coaches take a lot of responsibility in a game, but some things you just can't blame the coach for. And the error off the kickoff, it's a simple play. While he did have to make up the meters, you would expect a front rower of representative class to catch the football like that. Instead, he just puts his team under enormous amounts of pressure. And then the Dragons just offloading the football. Craig Coleman, I mean, in the first year they have had 5 victories. He has been under a lot of pressure, but a lot of the things just can't be contributed to him. We talk about pride in performance, and sometimes you wonder when you see mistakes made by players.
Certainly do, especially today. Well, these players are playing for respectability. No one's got any respect for them as a team, and you think they're playing for respectability out there today.
Riddell is back out there with the kick. He misses to the right-hand side as well. The Dragons lead the Rabbitohs 42 points to 16, and that gives us the chance to tell you about the Fox fan poll. Those lines are open now, and Laurie, the number is
0427 404 404, and all you have to do is SMS us the last name of your man of the match. The lines are open now.
That number again, 0427 404 404 as usual. Brett Kenny has missed his cue.
I can only read it. I can't. My memory's no good.
You get another crack in a few moments' time, Bertie. Here's Riddell, the Dragons. They go across the 30-metre line in their own half, running a long way from dummy half. They're all in there. They want to touch. They had about 4 dummy halves on that occasion. Here's Barrett bouncing off the tackle there of Shane Rigon. Everybody wants the ball suddenly for the Dragons. Peters, the try scorer's benefit this afternoon once again. They've now scored 17 tries in 2 games, the Dragons, against the Rabbitohs in 2002. They'll be hoping they only have to play them the once in 2003, the way things have gone this year. King it is, who has it for the Rabbitohs. Olzar take it up towards the 20-metre line. Here's Gross. It's a gain of about 8 or 9 metres. He's doing for them on this particular play where stringer is wrapped up by Barrett and Timmins. Watts on the last tackle. Give it to Craigie, under pressure again. Down the middle of the park, not a deep kick as such. But it's Hornby. Spent the entire afternoon at fullback, who has it 5 metres on his own side of halfway. You would swear it's the Dragons who have the breeze at their backs in their second half, and not the Rabbitohs.
Well, I think one of the things that the Rabbits got to look at is possibly having their dummy half doing the kicking, because when they're throwing the ball back to their designated kicker, they're under a lot of pressure. At least the dummy half's going to put everyone on side.
The ball put down here by Hooper. All those tries the Dragons have scored against the Rabbitohs this season. Of course, back in round 19, the two sides met at Aussie Stadium. It was 48 points to 10 on that occasion for the Dragons. They will, you would think, get to 48 again this afternoon. Perhaps a bit more, with just under 17 minutes remaining in the second half. Big score lines against one of their old rivals. Fitzgerald has it. The Rabbitohs get the scrum win. Watts. It's the Pula Tua. Limited use in the first half. Back out there now is deep. Goes quickly from dummy half to give it to Ringon. Forces the pass, and Watts can't come up with it. It's Kite who has it for the Dragons. Completion rate in the first half, you know, for the Rabbitohs, it's not all that bad. 15 of 18 sets that they had, they completed. It's gone out the window here in the second half. Only completed 5 of 9. Definitely above 50%. No sign of trying to get the kick away early in the tackle count to take the pressure off their kickers, which is something they need terribly to do. Here's Bailey getting a penalty for the Dragons. There it is. And Riddell takes the quick tap. They weren't watching. Rigon had his back turned when Riddell took it. He only just got around in time to see him coming towards him. Here's Barrett. He stopped by deep, about 15 out from the Rabbitohs line. Timmins going from dummy half. We got there and then was repelled by the goalpost, if anything. Play properly. Riddell, short ball away to Peters. And the pictures will tell you more than the words ever could. 46-16.
Great work there by Mark Riddell from dummy half. They were just lining up. They could have scored on the left or the right. Riddell decided to get out. He dragged in 2 defenders. And Willie Peters just hitting a hole.
Well, it was a good run by Sean Timmins that set this up, and Riddell did well to come out of dummy half, dragged in two defenders. Willie Peters, I don't think he'll ever run into a gap that big again in his life.
You mentioned the run from dummy half. The Dragons, they look great when they just go forward. Either dummy half plays or Riles and Bailey just going forward, quick play the balls. Riddell's as good as anyone in the competition as far as getting out. When they're on the back foot and they can get Barrett and Willie Peters going in the line, then they are a dangerous outfit. Sometimes they want to go too lateral before they go forward.
Here's Riddell. Just to the left-hand side of the post. Get them to 48. The score they racked up against them. Round 19 encounter, as we just told you, and he gets those 2 points. Today it's 48-16, with plenty of time left. The Dragons leading very comfortably over the Rabbitohs. It's time to remind you once again of the Fox fan poll. That number, Brett Kenny,
is 0427 404 404. And all you St George supporters, get your phones in your hands now and start getting us. SMS your last name of your man of the match.
I've done it any better myself. Here's Bailey. Brings it up towards the 20. 32 the difference. Have a half century again racked up, or all but. Dragons don't score any more points here after another very heavy defeat. The coaching career of Craig Coleman come down to a 2-game shootout, if you like. He'll roll the dice and watch his side go around against the Panthers next week and the Cowboys the week after that. And the meeting earlier in the week with club chairman George Piggins was fairly plain. He has to win one of those games to keep the job for next year. Timmins be shepherded across the sideline here. For the moment, it's play on, though. Watts picks it up. Gets around Cooper. He'll run it, Brett Kite, rather. And, well, he certainly can motor. Brett Kite was lucky enough to get some support from both Barrett and also Jason Kent, who's out there now. Brett Barrett was saying the ball was out of play back up here at the halfway line. Sorry, boys. Now Matt Chicken will blow time out. I'll take a look at things. So there's time being blown out here because Sean Timmins, in fact, is back over the sideline and off the field here. He went across the sideline, which I must say is very close to the Western Grandstand here at Wing Stadium. They are right on top of the players here, and watch as he goes across the sideline. Brent Rose tackling him. Players there, officials. He was lucky not to come into contact with the fence. A lot of traffic on the sidelines down here at Wollongong. It's a wonder somebody hasn't been cleaned up big time before this. Simons is out there for the Rabbitohs. There's Craigie, puts in a grubber. Not a good one. He tackled Hooper without the ball to concede a penalty.
Wait for it. Wait for the mark. Wait for the mark.
Yet another kick.
There's the mark.
Just does not come off for the Rabbitohs. At the moment, scoring a couple of tries in the first half. Just back into their mode in the previous month. The indication at times they couldn't find the try line with a global positioning system. Here's Riddell. To Millard. Just outside the 20.
Wait.
Barrett running out the line again. He had Thompson with him. Rigon and Simons were there to stop him on this occasion. Here's Riddell putting on the full 360. Wants to put another one on. Here comes the Geddes. Pops the ball to Timmins, who's been searching and trying to find the way to the try line. They put the whip away, the Rabbitohs. They turned it up here again at Wollongong. They've cracked the 50, the Dragons. 52 points to 16. The defence is beyond embarrassing at the moment.
And again, great dummy half play by Riddell. He had time to pirouette, do a circle, and the Rabbitohs just hung off. And unloading the football to Sean Timmins, too easy.
Showing a lot of skill there, Mark Riddell. The defence was very ordinary to say the least, but good skills by Riddell. Still had plenty of work to do, got himself in, kept the arms free. Timmins deserves that try. His defence here today has been outstanding. Deserves to come up with a 4-pointer.
His 4th try on the season. Once again, Riddell on pretty much the same spot. He's had plenty of kicks in this game. Score of 6 today. Almost 3 of 4 on average. 2002, which is pretty much his career average as well. Still, you Rabbitohs fans, almost 10 minutes left. The Dragons with that insult to injury as Riddell makes it 54 points to 16. Mike Penn ran out of ink after writing down the try scorers' names here this afternoon. Gone through some in recent times. You know, before last week, the Rabbitohs had never conceded 50 points in back-to-back games until they were beaten rounds 21 and 22 by the Tigers and Parramatta by that scoreline. Well, they've made it 3 in a row here as the Dragons once again make it to the half century. 50 against the Tigers, 54 against the Eels. We're at 54 again. It's 158 points in 3 games, and we're not done yet.
The only bonus for the Rabbits is that they've scored 16 points this game,
is more than they'd scored the previous 3 weeks combined. Here's Hooper running into open space again. He was stopped by Watts. Willie Peters rubbering, looking for Hookie. Who will get there? They are scoring every time they get the ball now from the kickoff. Matt Checker will take a look at the onside. I'm pretty sure he was. It doesn't matter at this stage. The only interest now is by how far, and it is 20.
Again, great run by Jason Hooper, and Willie Peters realising Lee Hookey is onside, realising that the Bunnies were coming up. Brad Watts was out of position, just putting the ball in behind the line, and lovely bounce for Lee Hookey.
Well, he hasn't had a lot to do, Lee Hookey, today. He's come up with, I think, 2 tries, and that's his second try of the day. A good kick by Willie Peters. And for once, the Rabbitohs did come up in defence. Still had a try scored against them.
There it is. The easiest afternoon, the video refereeing career of Phil Cooley. And Lee Hookey grabs his second try, their second half. There's the bust again of Jason Hooper, going towards Gerald Simons and also Jason Deep. They barely got a hand on him. There's only the efforts of Watts which stopped Hooper from running all the way to score. And then with the shot to bit still making it back on side down that right-hand side, Peters just put the kick in and he got the bounce he needed.
And he tried his best, didn't he, Brad Watts, after making the tackle to get back there and at least show a bit of enthusiasm.
This one is the left-hand post. The attempted conversion from Jason Hooper. It's 58 points to 16. Don't forget about that Fox fan poll. Will be a man in red and whites. The number to call is 0427 404 404. SMS, the last name of your man of the match. That number, 0427 404 404. Our lines will remain open until the full-time siren. The kickoff from the Rabbitohs comes down to the winger, Matt Cooper. What price on them going the length of the field for the kick-off to score yet another one in this set of 6, boys? Even money? Odds on, perhaps?
Not a chance.
And you're right, too, because they knocked it on here. Mistake made by Chris Lightcole. Tackled there by Simons and also Gettys. And being the ball player that he might be thinking himself as, trying to keep it alive. Why wouldn't you when you lead by 1,000? And is the case this afternoon. Watts giving it to Fitzgerald. 6.5 minutes left. Sure, the clock can't tick down fast enough for Craig Coleman. Rabbitohs team up there in the coach's box. Another nightmare of an afternoon for them. Here's deep. To Craig, gives it to Hart. Almost snuck away from the tackle there of Hooper, but it was Thompson who wrapped him up. They go, you're all over the top. All over the top. Andrew, careful. Pull it to her. They take the quick tap. Deep from dummy Hart. Once again, Thompson makes the tackles. Plenty of it this afternoon as well. Craigie to Fitzgerald as they race up quickly on the outside. Let him go! Barrett tight for the players coming up. Racing Fitzgerald back on the inside. Rigon to Gettys. Wrapped around to this short side. To Watts. Craigie doing for him there. Dell stops him close to the line. One more tackle here is deep. Cover for the in goal. I'll get it back. Peters who just put the hand on it to force it. I'll drop it out from their own goal line. 5 minutes on the clock remaining. It's 58 to 16. The Rabbits close the score line to 10-6 way through that first half. Thought they were a real chance here this afternoon to perhaps cause the upset of the season. Exactly what it would have been. It's hard to conceive being competitive in that opening 20 to 25 minutes of the first half. Now the scoreline now will be 58 to 16. Their batteries run flat around about the half-time mark. They have been comprehensively spanked in this second half. Gettys takes it inside the Dragons 20. Farah would like to see his side see no more points in the second half. Hart comes to Rigon. He's in front of the post, 10 metres out. dummy half. Fitzgerald outside him, delays the pass and then gives it to Fitzgerald in traffic. Almost lost it there, but hung on to it. Craigie again, at first receiver. Gives it to Rigon. Simple stuff close to the post. They just one off the ruck, try and beat the tackles. Now Craigie puts the bomb up. Olzard is out there off the hands there of Hookie. Falls for Gaznia. He gets away from the Fitzgerald tackle. He got away from Deep as well. Watts could certainly pace it with him. The pass back on the inside comes to Andrew Hart.
Tremendous chase there by Brad Watts. Great play by Lee Hookie, just batting the ball back to Gaznia on his own line. A show of confidence. And Gaznia Lilly having the ability to go the length of the field, but Watts has tried hard out here this afternoon. The stringer puts in the kick.
Here's Andrew King, who almost got the bounce, but Trent Barrett was there to save the day for the Dragons, and now here he comes.
What about the hands there of Trent Barrett? Oh, what about that?
Coming in very late with Geddes over the top, and now Stringer and Riddell want to argue the toss.
Come here. Come here. Scott. That was a cheap shot. It was on his face. It was late. He was on the ground. Could have hurt him. It's got his step on. Go. Yep. Trent, come here. There was some down with the backswing, okay? That was a cheap shot, that's why. Come on. Thank you. Trent? You retaliate. Sometimes we don't always get the aggressor, okay?
It looked a lot worse by the naked eye. Geddes just coming in over the top. I don't think it was too much in it, to be quite honest.
Well, it was late, and he certainly got him around the neck region. It was a tackle that obviously did not need to be made. The tackle was completed. Geddes a little bit fired up in the last couple of minutes. Doesn't get the chance to finish the game on the field. The Dragons certainly get the chance here against the 12-man defensive line, who had another try in the last couple of minutes. They can crack the 60 barrier. Here's Barrett, short ball from Millard. He got away from them. Going to get the pass on off a Rabbitohs. Not played at. Here's Hookie looking for a hat-trick. They'll force him across the sideline, though. That'll just about do us here this afternoon at Wollongong. The Rabbitohs will say thank goodness.
I'd be surprised to see the Rabbits come up with something special on this scrum.
What would you suggest? A nuclear bomb, perhaps?
Well, they can do something. Maybe slip an extra couple of players on.
Might need more than that.
Long-range field goal.
There it is. At this very ground as well. That famous call was made by Brett Kenny. One of the most dramatic moments in recent footballing memory. Came up with a field goal call. The difference was 2.
Back in the 70s.
Perhaps the 60s even. Here's the Rabbitohs who will finish the game with the ball in their hands. Coming up very quickly with Millard to put a hit on Stringer. Might get the contact square enough. Deep. Dancing away from dummy half. Will give it to Stringer. Wrapped up by Lightfold and Hooper. And that will end the suffering. The Rabbitohs, the third time in succession, have given up 50 points. The Dragons have beaten them this afternoon 58-16 here in Wollongong.
It was a convincing performance by the Dragons. Starting to get back into a little bit of form. Of course, they have got the bye next week. That's a further 2 points. But you would think they have to win their last 2 games to make the semi-finals. And the big victory today will help them as far as their for and against is concerned. They've got one of the better ones out of the bottom couple of sides, and I think it was a real confidence booster here this afternoon for the Dragons.
Well, we'll see what transpires after they get the bye next week, but there is the Fox fan poll man of the match, Sean Timmins. Fans have voted, and they voted for the Dragons number 4. A terrific performance from him. Came up with a try, and his defence was sensational in that first half when the Rabbitohs were still in the game. They, of course, only have 2 more games left. They take on the Panthers next week and will finish their season in round 25 with the Cowboys. But they've given up 50 points, as we said, for the 3rd time in a row this afternoon. Peters grabbed a double, as did Hookie, Riddell, Gasnier, Hooper, Bailey, Hornby, Barrett and Simmons also all scored. Riddell kicked 5 goals, Gasnier kicked a couple, and for the Rabbitohs, Hinson scored 2. Olzard grabbed his first try in first grade, also kicked the goal, as did Sheen, who left the field with a severe concussion. That'll do it this afternoon in Wollongong. The Dragons have returned to the winners list. They, of course, do have Trent Barrett facing the back slamming report. We'll hear more about that earlier in the week. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. And on behalf of Laurie Daly, Brett Kenny and all the crew, I'm Warren Smith. Until we see you next time, it is goodbye from Wollongong.
This has been a Fox Sports production for the National Rugby League Partnership. This program proudly